The following video was recorded on the evening of April 25th of 2004 at 6:39 p.m., somewhere in a rural hillside location. In the video, a man with a camcorder caught sight of something hovering in the dusk sky that stopped him cold, something he clearly hadn't expected to find, while standing out in a field where the only other sound was the distant clanking of livestock bells. You can hear the shock in his voice immediately, that genuine, unscripted panic of someone who doesn't know what they're looking at and knows it. He keeps trying to hold the camera steady, but his hands won't cooperate. Watch.
Cago en la madre que lo parió. ¿Qué es eso? Fíjate. Joder, aquí no hay trucaje, esto es la hostia, ¿eh? Mira, desaparece y vuelve. Mira otro. Ahí hay otro que está dando, mira. Mira.
What he's filmed are three luminous, face-like objects hovering against the pale evening sky, each one with two dark markings above a distinct red horizontal band, giving them an almost cartoonish, mask-like appearance that somehow makes them more unsettling, not less. A second object appears beside the first without warning, and then a third is found hovering low near the tree line of the hillside, closer and more defined than the others. Some viewers believe these are orbs or interdimensional craft exhibiting structured, intelligent form. The consistent face pattern across all three objects is the detail that keeps coming back in discussions. Others argue they're atmospheric plasma phenomena or lens artifacts amplified by the digital zoom. But skeptics have a harder time explaining the third object near the tree line, which holds its shape more clearly than the others, against a darker background. The year also matters here, 2004, consumer camcorder footage. No easy digital compositing for most people. If you focus on the moment the second object simply appears with no approach, no trajectory, it's just there. So what were they? In this next clip, a group of teenage guys are spending what starts out as a quiet night outside, hanging out in the yard, relaxing in the hammock, ukulele music drifting through the dark, when something in the distance pulls their attention in a direction none of them expected. It's the kind of footage that's been circulating in paranormal communities for a while now, partly because of how it starts, and partly because of how fast everything falls apart once they see it. There's no build-up to warn them. One moment the night is calm, and the next, it isn't. Watch.
What was that?
What?
Hold up.
What?
Dude, is that a person?
We should probably.
Close it, please lock it. Oh my god.
Fucking lock that shit, dude.
Dude, okay.
I think we left someone's phone up there.
Yeah, we left something.
Dude, his phone.
It doesn't matter. Bro, we'll get it later.
Oh my
fucking
god.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's scary.
Get back.
Oh my god, fuck. What the fuck is
Is the side door locked?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Holy shit.
So how come you get this side door's locked?
Wait, Nick, did you lock the door?
Did you lock it? Did you lock this door? I don't want to get close to the door.
Make sure it's locked. Make sure it's locked.
No, make sure it's locked. Make sure it's locked. Okay.
That is creepy as hell.
Dude.
What the fuck is that, dude?
This has like fucking weird shit. What the fuck is that, dude? It's going on. It's going around.
Like, get out over here.
Yo.
Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That.
Wait, is the door locked?
Yes,
Is the door locked? Wait, is it out there? Dude, it's over there. It's over there. Oh my.
Is the garage door closed?
God, what the fuck is that?
dude.
Go.
What starts as a single pulsating red light in the pitch-black yard becomes something far harder to explain. First one pair of glowing red eyes, then a thin, dark silhouette attached to them, moving with a swaying, unnatural rhythm that doesn't match anything you'd expect from a person. Then the appendages appear, multiple limbs, each tipped with its own red glow, and then more eyes emerge from the surrounding darkness, flanking the first figure. Many believe this is either a short horror film shot in found footage style or an ARG, an alternate reality game where the line between fiction and real experience is intentionally blurred. ARGs have been used for years as a way to create immersive horror narratives, and some of the most well-known paranormal-seeming content online has turned out to be exactly that. Planned, written, and performed, but designed to feel like something that actually happened to someone. Others, though, think the creature design pulls from something older, a figure with hollow red eyes, unnaturally thin, moving in ways the body shouldn't be able to, tracks closely with descriptions of what some traditions call a flesh gate, a modern term used in paranormal communities to describe entities that mimic the shape of a person without quite getting it right. Staged or not, the image of that thing standing motionless in the dark room, staring directly at the camera, is the kind of visual that tends to stay with you. So, real encounter, horror short, or something in between? What do you think that thing actually was? In this next clip, two women are filming outside at dusk near what appears to be a small shrine or spirit house, the kind you'd find across Southeast Asia, placed to honor local spirits and keep the land at peace. The location looks like Malaysia or Indonesia, and the low light gives everything that deep, almost unnatural blue tone that smartphone cameras produce at night. One woman pans slowly across the sandy ground, past trees and a thin metal post, moving toward the corner of a white wall. And that's when she sees it. Watch. A small, dark shape clings to the surface of the wall, vaguely humanoid, with what looks like a head and limbs, pressed flat against the white paint. Many believe what she captured was a toil, a small childlike spirit from Malay and Indonesian folklore, said to be kept by those practicing black magic and often described as a dark, clinging figure. Others aren't sure, pointing out the low light and motion blur. But whatever it was ugly enough to send her running. This next video comes from a residential security camera, a Nest doorbell camera mounted on a covered porch, pointed out toward the street late at night. For weeks, according to the homeowner, this camera had been triggering motion alerts at odd hours, notifications going off at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., with no obvious explanation for what set them off. Each time they'd check the app, the footage would show exactly what you're about to see. Watch. If you concentrate on the left side of the screen, you'll notice what appears to be something slowly slithering across the yard. It doesn't move like a person, and from this distance it's difficult to tell exactly what it is. In paranormal folklore, reports occasionally describe shadow entities or serpentine apparitions, dark, crawling forms said to move unnaturally close to the ground before vanishing from sight. While there is no scientific evidence that such entities exist, similar descriptions have appeared in eyewitness accounts for decades, particularly in videos recorded at night, where the source of the movement can't be clearly identified. Whether it was an ordinary animal briefly crossing the yard, a trick created by the camera's infrared sensor, or something that kept returning night after night just long enough to trigger the motion alerts. The homeowner never did figure out what kept passing through the edge of the frame. In this next clip, a woman is walking the exterior of what she identifies as the Murphy house in Carmel, a large old stone manor with a steeply pitched roof, ivy-covered walls, and the kind of quiet that comes from years of neglect. She's filming as she goes, narrating in a casual, almost admiring tone, talking about how beautiful the place must have been in its day. The house looks completely deserted, no signs of life anywhere. Watch.
What I found, this is in Carmel, this great old house. Someone told me that it's the Murphy house. I don't know who the Murphys were, but I don't think they've lived here for a while because it looks pretty deserted, but it must have been gorgeous in its day. It's absolutely, I could just imagine walking around here in some fancy dress or something, and just amazing. It's just beautiful.
As the camera pans slowly past a second-story dormer window, something is standing inside. A small, dark, humanoid figure, motionless, positioned as if looking out, visible for just a moment before the camera moves on. She doesn't seem to notice it at all. That's what makes it harder to dismiss. Some viewers think it's a doll or a decorative mannequin left behind by former residents, but others find it strange that something would be placed in an upstairs window of an otherwise empty house, facing outward, as if waiting to be seen. What do you think it was? This next clip was recorded inside a hospital room at St. Paul's Hospital in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, a facility that's been in operation since 1894 and has long had a reputation among staff for strange activity in its corridors and wards. Whoever recorded this was a patient or visitor, filming the room during the day, bright light filtering through the window blind, while medical equipment hummed steadily in the background. Nothing about the room looked wrong at first, just a bedside dresser, a few supplies, a blue Gatorade bottle sitting among them. Then something on that bottle caught their attention. Watch. During the second zoom, if you look closely at the curved upper surface of the bottle, you can make out a dark, slender, humanoid figure reflected in it, silhouetted against the window light, standing completely still. Some think it's nothing more than a distorted reflection of an object in the room. Others aren't so sure, pointing out that what's reflected looks distinctly upright and shaped like a person. Shadow people, dark humanoid figures reported across cultures for centuries, are among the most commonly described paranormal encounters in hospitals specifically. What was standing in that room? This next clip was filmed at night outside a Star Mart, somewhere in a Spanish-speaking region, where a crowd had already gathered along the roadside before whoever shot this even arrived. Something was being transported on a red flatbed truck, something large enough that people had stopped their cars, pulled out their phones, and started shouting over each other just to get a better look. The energy in the crowd isn't fear exactly. It's the kind of loud, chaotic excitement that comes when people see something they genuinely can't explain. Watch.
Puta, si puta en medio había quedado.
If you focus on the roadway just after the truck passes, you'll notice what appears to be a man suddenly standing in the middle of the road. He doesn't seem to walk into frame from either side. Instead, he appears almost instantly, as though he stepped out from the narrow gap between the passing trucks, or from somewhere that shouldn't have been physically possible. That's the moment that has left viewers divided. Some believe it's simply a trick of perspective. The moving truck temporarily blocks the camera's view, allowing someone already on the opposite side to emerge at precisely the right moment, creating the illusion that they materialized out of nowhere. Others aren't convinced. In paranormal circles, sudden human-shaped appearances like this are sometimes described as phantom pedestrians or crisis apparitions, figures that seem to manifest briefly before disappearing just as quickly, often on roads or busy highways. What makes this clip so difficult to dismiss is how little time there is to process it. One moment the road is empty, the next, there's what appears to be someone standing exactly where the truck had just been moments before. Was it simply a man hidden from view by the passing vehicles? Or did the camera capture something that wasn't there until it suddenly was? People are still slowing the footage down frame by frame, and many still can't agree on what they're actually looking at. Now, in this next clip, a woman is sitting at a table enjoying what she describes as the best brigadeiro of her life, a late Mother's Day treat from a local dessert shop, when something she didn't notice in the moment makes its way into the footage. She's relaxed, cheerful, talking directly to the camera as she unwraps a small gift that came along with her order, a compact mirror. Nothing about her energy suggests anything is off. Watch.
Gente, eu vou comer com vocês o melhor brigadeiro da vida, que é da doceria da Lulu. E olha que bonitinho que eu ganhei no Dia das Mães, atrasado, mas ela me deu. É um espelhinho de bom, deixa eu abrir e mostrar. Olha, que lindo. Deixa eu abrir. Ai, meu Deus. Amei. E agora vamos provar. Eu sou, tipo assim, viciada nesse brigadeiro dela. É simplesmente o melhor brigadeiro que eu já comi na minha vida. Nossa, gente. É muito bom. Muito bom.
As she flips the mirror open, for just a fraction of a second, a handful of frames, easy to miss in real time, something pale and vaguely face-shaped appears in the mirror. Whatever was in that mirror, she genuinely didn't see it in the moment. Some viewers immediately pointed to the idea of mirror spirits, a concept that appears across multiple traditions and cultures, the belief that reflective surfaces can briefly reveal things from outside our visible range, entities that exist just at the edge of what we can perceive. Skeptics, on the other hand, argue it's a simple case of pareidolia, the brain finding a face in an abstract smear of light and shadow. A few frames of ambiguity, but if you slow it down and look closely at that reflection, something is looking back. What do you think it was? The following videos were captured by a woman who's been documenting what she calls her poltergeist diaries, a series of increasingly unsettling encounters happening at her workplace, an office she now refers to as anything but ordinary. She'd been sharing updates with her followers, building a record of small, creeping strangeness. And in this first clip, she's filming late, alone, moving through the building with her phone out when she notices something down the hallway near the break room. Watch.
So, y'all have been following my polter diaries here lately. So I'm pretty sure there's something standing in the doorway to the break room. Am I crazy? Or is that somebody standing there? Do y'all see that?
The camera peers around the edge of a dark, reflective surface and catches a tall, thin shape standing completely still at the far end of the dimly lit hallway, and her reaction says everything. Her voice drops from calm narration to a terrified whisper before she lets out a raw, piercing scream and the footage cuts off. Whether that shape was a chair, a pedestal, or something else entirely, her scream wasn't performed. Some viewers insisted it was just office furniture catching the light wrong, while others pointed out that the object doesn't have the softened edges or visible legs you'd expect from a chair. It just stands there, occupying the frame like it belongs. That's what makes it hard to dismiss. Not long after that clip circulated, followers began asking whether the lights in that hallway were connected to anything, wondering if she'd somehow triggered them herself. She came back with a direct answer: watch.
So, since y'all thought I was doing the lights, let me show you these. This one does nothing. This one turns on this extra light. So,
She flips both switches on the wall, one by one, demonstrating clearly that neither controls the bright stationary light glowing in the dark hallway behind her. The fluorescent ceiling lights respond to the second switch, but that orb-like light sits untouched, unchanging, against the dark blue wall. Some viewers immediately suggested it was a security light or an exit sign on a separate circuit. Others weren't convinced, pointing out that the light's intensity and position don't match anything typically mounted in an office corridor, and that she didn't seem to know what it was either, ending the clip with a flat, exhausted "so," as if the demonstration raised more questions than it answered. She'd also mentioned she'd stopped working alone in that building after everything that happened, which brings us to her next update. She returned to the office with a coworker, hoping the company would make whatever was happening stop. Everything had been quiet. Watch.
hey guys, this is just an update to let you all know that I'm okay. I'm back at work today, but I'm no longer working by myself. I have someone here with me. Everything's been fine so far. We haven't had anything today, so and here we go. What was that? What? It came from the hallway. Oh my god. No. Oh my god.
Right in the middle of her calm update, mid-sentence in fact, an explosively loud bang erupts from the hallway, violent and metallic, and both women react instantly. She moves toward the doorway and peers down the long, empty, brightly lit corridor. Nothing, no one, no visible source for a sound that loud. Two people heard the same thing, and neither of them could explain it. Some researchers who study poltergeist activity describe this kind of escalation, from visual anomalies to unexplained sounds, as a pattern of intensifying engagement, as though whatever presence exists in a space begins responding more forcefully when it feels observed. What would you do if the hallway you just cleared came back that loud? Now, in this next clip, a man is moving through his house at night, phone in hand, when the space around him starts doing things that have no easy explanation. It's unclear exactly what brought him to this part of the house, but from the moment he pushes shut a large panel on the wall, something shifts in the energy of the place, and it doesn't stop there. Almost immediately after that panel slams shut with a loud bang, something catches his attention. Watch. A soccer ball rolls across the floor completely on its own. He barely has time to process that before panning down a long, dark hallway where a small, pale figure in a white gown steps out from the corner. The moment he sees it, he hears a high-pitched, distorted child's laugh that sounds just slightly off from anything natural. Many investigators warn that childlike apparitions aren't always what they seem. Some believe darker entities imitate children, because people instinctively lower their guard around them, making the encounter feel less threatening, at least at first. Despite every instinct telling him to leave, he walks toward the figure, which, if you ask most people, is the last thing you should do. When he reaches the first door and tries the handle, it's locked, and the moment he pulls his hand back, a deep, grating, scraping sound erupts from somewhere unseen, and the video cuts off. Across countless paranormal reports, investigators describe this as escalation, subtle movement giving way to visual manifestations, then direct interaction intended to provoke fear or curiosity. Whether that's what happened here is impossible to prove, but one thing is hard to ignore. Whatever was waiting at the end of that hallway never actually came toward him. It got him to come to it. Quick thing before we continue, all of our videos are now available on Spotify too, so if that's somewhere you already find yourself late at night, every compilation we've made is waiting there for you. Whichever way you'd rather watch, the link's in the description. Now back to the video. The following video is about a man who lives on 300 acres of swampland in a place called Dinsmore, land his family bought cheap from a paper mill that operated in the 1800s. Land that he claims was originally stolen from Native Americans and sits directly on top of an old burial ground. According to him, he's not the only one who believes something is wrong out there. He says local police officers will draw straws to avoid responding to calls on the property, and when they do show up, they won't set foot past the property line. That detail alone is hard to shake, but it's what happened to him the previous night that sent him outside in the dark, bare-chested and terrified, phone in hand. He says he walked off the porch to check on the chickens when he heard two things. First, someone calling his name, and then a voice saying, "Help me," from somewhere in the darkness. Watch.
Y'all, I just walked off the porch and I came out here to check on the chickens. I just heard, first off, I heard my name. Second off, it sounded like somebody was saying, "Help me." Hold on. Hold on. Hey. Help. I need help. Eric, can you help me?
What you hear coming out of that blackness is a clear, disembodied male voice, distinct, intelligible, calling out, "Hey," then "Help," then "I need help," then the name Derek, and finally, "Can you help me?" There's no figure visible, no source, just open darkness and that pleading voice drifting in from the trees. Some viewers immediately thought of a classic piece of folklore, sometimes called the Dark Call, the idea that certain malevolent entities will lure people away from safety by mimicking distress, using familiar names or cries for help to draw someone deeper into the woods. Others think it's entirely possible a real person was out there, maybe someone from the abandoned trailer, a quarter-mile onto the land that he mentions people frequently break into. Skeptics have both explanations to choose from, but the fact that the voice knew his name is the part that's difficult to talk around. The following morning, he sat down and laid out the full context. Watch.
So last night was insane. I told you, look, I live on 300 acres of swampland. Just a little background for everybody. 300 acres of swampland. We bought it for a penny an acre from the paper mill that was here back in the 1800s. The paper mill stole it from the Native Americans. Everything that everything is built around out here is on top of Indian burial ground. So I'm not the only one to have had this experience. Other people have had these experiences. You could just talk to the local people here in Dinsmore. They've had the same experiences out here. In fact, it's so bad. Police officers will draw straws or argue about who has to come down here when something happens. My family used to be crazy. There used a lot of drinking, drug use, and, you know, just abuse and stuff like that. So cops would be out here all the time, but they would not come on the property. They will only meet you at the end of the property. That's how fucking scary it is out here. So today we're going to investigate. I still think that crackheads wandered up from the property. It is about a quarter of a mile into the property, but that doesn't mean anything. We get crackheads, heroin addicts, whatever. They're the new crackheads, meth addicts, they're the new crackheads. We get them out here all the time trying to steal stuff because we used to run a business out here. So I'm going to investigate a trailer that's on the edge of the property today to see that they steal out of all the time. They stole the copper out of it. They busted the windows out of it. So we're going to go see inside that trailer if there's any evidence of anybody staying in it or anything like that. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. Peace.
He describes the property as deeply haunted, says the paranormal activity is so severe that even seasoned local officers refuse to enter, and admits that his own first theory is that it might have been trespassers, possibly people staying in that abandoned trailer on the land. So that same day, he decided to go take a look.
Okay, so we are out here exactly where everybody said this thing was standing. This is the spot right here. Exactly the spot. There's the track. I see no footprints. So this is the exact spot right here, guys. Chickens, the chickens in the background. So I don't know. This is in this area right here is where it was standing. Is where everybody said it was standing. I couldn't see it while standing just about over there. There we go. And so we keep this stuff like this locked. We keep stuff like this locked because, like I said, crackheads. Let's check to make sure it's locked. Door's locked. This is the trailer that I was worried about. Did you fucking see that, bro? Look, I'm telling. Okay, we're just gonna peek in. Oh my, what the fuck? There's walking around in this, bro. Hello? So we're gonna have to climb in this. Probably should have brought my gun. Hello? Heard that shit. Hold up. It's happening all around me right now. Like it's the worst that it's ever been.
The research context around Dinsmore notes that the area has a long history of paranormal folklore and unexplained phenomena, and the most famous incident dates back to 1897, suggesting that whatever people believe is out there has been talked about for well over a century. Whether the voice in the dark was a person, something mimicking one, or something else entirely that this land has carried since long before his family ever bought it, no one knows. But what do you think? This next video was recorded on January 4th of 2026 by a hospital security guard working a night shift on the second floor of a medical facility, a floor that houses the ICU and a family waiting area. He'd been called up earlier for an emergency, and once that was handled, he decided to walk back down the hall toward the hospital chapel, a room he'd heard about from co-workers who swore strange things happened there regularly, though he'd personally never witnessed anything himself, and that was about to change. Watch.
So we are on the second floor now. Gotta be a little quiet up here because so the ICU is actually right in front of me as family waiting. Hey, what's up, Richard? Hey, how you doing? And right to the right is. He's went back in the room. Hold on. I was gonna say that right next to family waiting is the chapel. I was gonna come in here anyway because people say that crazy things happen here all the time, but I'd never experienced anything, so I figured why not try? And of course, nothing's happening. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sit right here and just wait. Holy hell, that scared the hell out of me. Oh, my heart is racing. Is that my shadow? Do y'all see a shadow on the wall, or is that just me? Oh, I gotta get the hell up out of here. Shit done, like I'm sweating now.
After sharing the footage, the guard revealed another detail that immediately caught people's attention. Long before it became part of the ICU, that entire floor had reportedly served as the hospital's psychiatric ward. According to staff members, one story has circulated for years. Several employees have claimed that a young child occasionally appears in the corridor, approaching people with a simple question. "Will you play with me?" They also describe the child carrying, or asking for, a small red ball. The image of a ghostly child with a red ball has become one of the most enduring motifs in modern paranormal reports. Investigators often note that toys, especially brightly colored balls, are frequently associated with alleged child hauntings because they're commonly used during investigations as so-called trigger objects, items believed by some to encourage interaction. Whether that's because of expectation, coincidence, or something genuinely unexplained remains a matter of debate. BC others believe the legend may have grown over time, passed from one generation of hospital staff to the next, until every unexplained sound or glimpse in the hallway became linked to the same story. Still, hospitals have long been places where folklore thrives. Decades of intense emotion, grief, hope, and loss naturally give rise to stories that linger long after the people involved are gone. Whether the guard captured evidence of the child his co-workers had described, or simply experienced an eerie coincidence in an old hospital, one question remains. If you heard a child's voice asking you to play in an empty hospital corridor after midnight, would you answer? The following clips all come from the same household, a Spanish-speaking woman who, at this point, seems less frightened by what's happening around her and more genuinely fed up with it. The activity has been building for a while, and she's started filming it, which is both brave and telling because what she's been capturing is hard to dismiss. In the first clip, she's up late at night waiting for bread to rise when she starts hearing noises coming from the living room. She films herself, announces she's alone, walks through to show the empty room, and then turns back toward the kitchen. Watch.
Esperando a que leo del pan, pero se empezaron a escuchar ruidos en la parte del living. Y estoy sola. No hay nadie. Miren. Literalmente no. Qué pesado, hermano. Qué ganas de romper las bolas que tiene. No, es muy rompebolas.
The metal kitchen utensils, hanging from the rack above the counter, are swinging on their own. Spatulas, a large spoon, scissors, all of them clanking and hitting each other in a rhythmic pattern, with nobody near them. Her reaction isn't screaming. She sounds annoyed, like this has happened before, and she's running out of patience for it. That kind of exasperated tone is actually one of the more telling details here, because it suggests she's moved past the fear stage entirely. Many who followed cases like this point to that shift, from terror to frustration, as a sign that the activity has been going on long enough to feel almost routine. Some believe this type of poltergeist behavior, objects moving in the kitchen specifically, is connected to residual emotional energy, the idea that strong feelings tied to a space over time can build up and manifest physically. Others are more skeptical and would argue air pressure from an opened window or a distant vibration could set hanging utensils in motion, though explaining all of them swinging at once is a harder sell. Not long after, she and a companion return home one night from what she describes as a session, some kind of spiritual gathering, to find something waiting for them. Watch.
Llegamos a la sesión y en la pieza, la cual estaba apagada, está las luces LED prendidas y no sé si alcanzan ver esa silueta, sombra, no sé qué carajo es, pero hay alguien parado en la pieza y estamos literalmente nosotros dos acá. Estamos los dos acá, no hay chance de que alguien esté en la pieza, porque no hay nadie en la casa. No me parece casualidad que lo esté haciendo después de salir de la sesión. Igual la chica me dijo que esto podía pasar. Miren, para que vean que de verdad no hay nadie, subimos lo más rápido que pudimos y no hay nadie en la casa. No, encima miren, el control está en la cama. No, qué bronca. Y ni siquiera lo puedo apagar.
Looking up at the building from the street, one window on an upper floor is glowing a solid red, and inside it, a dark head and shoulders silhouette is visible. But according to her, they're both standing outside on the street, and no one else has a key. There's another detail that many viewers missed on their first watch. Near the lower portion of the illuminated window, a much smaller figure, roughly the size of a young child or baby, appears to be present as well. When she switches on a light while continuing to film, the smaller shape briefly becomes reflected in the window, making it appear even more defined before disappearing into the glare. Whether those silhouettes were nothing more than reflections layered across the window, or whether someone, or something, was already inside the apartment waiting for them, is a question the footage never answers. In the next clip, she's in her bedroom during the day, starting to talk into her phone, when something off-camera catches her attention and she stops mid-sentence. Listen closely.
Buenas, ¿Qué hincha huevo? ¿Qué es, por favor? No, qué rompebola.
The bedroom door, which had been fully open, slams shut on its own with serious force, while she's standing in the next room watching it. No one is near it. Same house, same woman, same reaction. It's almost like she's dealing with a recurring presence that knows how to get on her nerves. That pattern of minor but deliberate disturbances, things chosen for their noise or their disruption, rather than their danger, lines up with what's often described as low-level intelligent haunting, activity that's reactive rather than random. The bedroom activity doesn't stop there. A static camera left on overnight in the same room, this time with another person in the bed, catches two separate things happening without anyone noticing. Watch closely.
Llegar como que ya con eso. No, me dice, mira, esto es algo serio, tengo que hacerlo. Bueno, adivina dónde terminó yendo.
Claro.
A mi casa, porque obviamente que al garchadero yo, mira, mis ángeles guías en el garchadero, no.
No pasó, no, está bien, está bien. Y ahora, bueno, como a mí no me puedo hacer rezos la media hora, a estar rezando.
Claro, en el garchadero.
En el garchadero. Bueno, que es el espacio de mi casa, el espacio devocional.
No, pero escúchame, porque el garchadero es así.
Sí, pero es comodísimo, tiene una cama, tiene todo lo que se necesita. Se puede acostar. Lo que no se puede.
If you focus on the mirror, what appears to be a dark figure briefly passes through the reflection before disappearing. No one in the room reacts, and there's nothing visible in the bedroom itself that clearly accounts for the movement. The mirror immediately became the center of the discussion. In many paranormal traditions, mirrors are believed to be more than ordinary household objects. Folklore from several cultures describes them as symbolic gateways or bridges through which spirits or negative entities can manifest. For that reason, some spiritual practitioners specifically advise against placing mirrors directly opposite or in front of a bed, believing they can encourage unwanted paranormal activity. Some even warn that simply covering a mirror isn't enough, claiming that whatever is attached to it could uncover the covering or continue to use it regardless. There is, however, no scientific evidence supporting these beliefs, and many people regard them purely as cultural folklore. But according to the person sharing these clips, that wasn't the only time something appeared in the room. On another night, the same bedroom is once again being recorded by a static camera while she sleeps peacefully, completely unaware that anything unusual is happening. Watch. A tall, dark, clearly defined head and shoulders silhouette appears in the glass of the bedroom window, leaning into view from the right edge of the pane and holding its position while the person in the bed sleeps completely unaware. It's darker than any ambient reflection in the room, and it has a shape that's unmistakably human. Whether that figure is a trick of light, someone outside, or something else entirely, what's harder to ignore is that across all of these clips, the same home, the same woman, the same building irritation, whatever is in that space appears to be sticking around. But the bigger question isn't just what that reflection is, it's whether any of this is going to stop. Now in this next clip, a woman in Florida is home alone on what looks like an ordinary afternoon. Daylight streaming through the windows, her little dog Tula sitting calmly on the stairs, when she starts hearing something she can't explain. A music box melody, high-pitched and tinkling, playing clearly from somewhere inside the house. No one else is home. She picks up her phone and starts moving through the hallway, searching. Listen closely.
I'm home by myself. No, I don't think so. Tula, what was that? Oh, no. No, because I'm about to sit on the porch still calling it. Absolutely not.
The music plays for nearly half a minute before cutting off mid-melody, not fading, not winding down, just stopping. And that alone is unsettling. She checks every corner of the room, asks her dog Tula what it was, finds nothing that could account for it. No toy, no device, nothing. Music boxes aren't supposed to start on their own, and they're not supposed to stop like that either, mid-note, as if something decided it was done. Some viewers think a spirit was making itself known, drawn to the familiar comfort of a child's melody. Others suggest an attachment to the holiday decorations or the home itself. She doesn't wait around to find out. By the end of the clip, she's already unlocking the front door. So what do you think was playing that music, and why did it stop the second she got close enough to find it? Now in this next video, a couple say they've been hearing something that makes no sense at all. The sound of a baby crying coming from inside their apartment. Not outside, not through the walls, but from somewhere within their own home. It starts suddenly, continues for a few seconds, and then stops completely. And the strangest part is, it happens every single night. Watch this.
Hey. Yeah. Did you hear baby crying? No, I just opened the door. Oh, I thought that's why you opened the door. I heard it crying a long time in here.
According to the husband, Austin, the cry lasted longer that night than it ever had before. They checked every room and every corner, but found nothing. If it were a neighbor's baby, they would have recognized the direction, but each time, the sound feels contained, like it exists in their space and nowhere else. At first, the couple tried to see it as a positive sign. Some cultures believe hearing a phantom baby cry can symbolize incoming life, a spiritual sign that a child may soon enter the family, but others warn about much darker meanings. In paranormal folklore, disembodied crying, especially of infants, is often associated with entities that mimic vulnerability to draw attention. Spirits that imitate babies are believed to trigger instinctive emotional responses, lowering fear and making people more receptive to their presence. There's also the unsettling connection to stories like La Llorona, an entity known for using the sound of crying children to lure people closer. But what unsettles this couple the most isn't just the crying, it's the fact that it happens at the same time, every single night. So should they see it as a hopeful sign or a warning? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. Now in this next clip, two girls, friends by the sound of it, are messing around in a bedroom late at night, trying to climb onto the top bunk the hard way, one standing on the other's shoulders. It's the kind of silly, chaotic moment that gets filmed because it's funny, nothing more. One of them falls, they both end up on the floor in hysterics, and the girl in the red shirt is laughing so hard she can barely breathe. According to her, the video was posted to Facebook as a funny clip and sat there for weeks before anyone noticed anything. Then someone in the comments asked a question that stopped her cold. Watch. Right there, a pale, slender hand with noticeably long fingers reaches out from behind her left shoulder, grips the lower rail of the bunk bed, and then pulls back out of sight. Neither girl reacts. They couldn't have. According to her, neither of them even knew it was there until someone pointed it out weeks later. If you slow it down and watch the moment carefully, there's no angle that puts either girl's arm in that position. Her own left hand is clearly visible and accounted for. Some viewers think it's a third person just out of frame, though the room and camera angle make that difficult to explain. Others go somewhere darker entirely, pointing to the fact that just before the hand appears, she'd been yelling, "Help me," over and over, and something, it seems, may have answered. The following video was recorded by a man in Virginia who'd been noticing strange things happening inside his shed. Strange enough that he set up a Ring security camera in there to try to catch something on film. The shed itself is cluttered with tools, old boxes, and years of accumulated junk, the kind of space that's easy to ignore until it starts ignoring you back. The camera is mounted high in a corner, looking down over the whole room, and on the afternoon of April 19th of 2026, at around 4:26 p.m., nobody is inside. Nobody visible, anyway. A door at the back of the room is closed, the floor is still, and then it isn't. Watch.
Man, look at this.
What unfolds over the next few minutes is one of the densest collections of unexplained activity caught on a single static camera in recent memory. A door swinging open on its own, loud thuds and heavy dragging sounds filling the room with no visible source. A ball rolling out of the open doorway and stopping dead. A wooden shelf crashing to the floor, and then, most disturbingly, being lifted back up and out of frame against gravity. And then there's the music. Old-fashioned, tinny, with a female vocalist. Faint at first, then growing steadily louder, as though something is physically walking it closer to the camera's microphone. Right up until a sharp pop is heard, and something lets out a high-pitched cry of pain. When the man Yeed enters the shed to investigate, you can hear how shaken he is, breathing heavy, voice cracking, yelling into the dark attic above him, and getting nothing back. What he finds up there doesn't answer anything. Broken nameplates reading Mr. and Mrs. Ronald J. with the surname snapped clean off, a shattered Rolex-style watch, shot glasses etched with the logo of Sweetbriar College, a women's-only institution here in Virginia, all of it belonging to someone else, someone whose connection to this shed he can't explain. Many viewers think what's captured here is classic poltergeist behavior, not a haunting tied to a location so much as an intelligence that interacts with physical objects, creates sound, and seems capable of responding to the presence of a camera. Poltergeist activity in paranormal research is often described as kinetic, loud, and escalating, the kind of presence that doesn't hide but performs. Others think the objects found in the attic matter more than the activity itself, that whoever Ronald J. was, something tied to him, or to whoever he shared that nameplate with, hasn't fully left the space. The shelf being lifted back up is the detail that's hardest to walk away from. Things fall, that's physics, but whatever pulled that shelf back up wasn't working with gravity, it was working against it. So what exactly is living in that shed with him, and does it know he's looking? Now, in this next clip, a group of friends decide to explore the darker parts of the building they're staying in at 4:15 in the morning. What starts as a casual, laughing walkthrough of a dark office space slowly shifts into something far more unsettling. The man filming leads his two friends through room after room, trying locked doors, peering into a cluttered storage area, and eventually unlatching a back door that opens into complete darkness outside. The mood is still light. They're joking, whispering, shining a phone flashlight into corners until they saw something terrifying. Watch.
Oh, my pitu, my pitu, my pitu, my pitu, my pagi. My pagi, my pitu, mari kita tengok, mari kita tengok. Pukul apa, Pi? Pukul apa, Pi? Nak guguk, babi. Kau guguk apa? Macam ni, Pi. Macam ada orang tu. Allah, lampu pula tutup. Ya, babi tu. Bodoh. Ni tinggal aku pun bodoh. Macam babi tinggal aku. Lampu tutup pula. Ruang ketang, ruang jiwa. Bodoh. Bimbang. Diam. Tak pasal pipi. Diam. Ya. Dok orang tu. Dok sini gelak dia. Allah Akbar. Bodoh. Ya Allah. Bodoh. Babi gua ya Allah. Allahu Akbar.
If you look closely, there's a figure, and according to the guys, it's a pokong. Near the edge of the darkness, a pale figure can briefly be seen motionless in the background. The group immediately reacts, and according to the men filming, what they saw was a pokong, a ghost from Indonesian and Malay folklore, believed to be the spirit of a dead person trapped inside their burial shroud. In traditional beliefs, the body of the deceased is wrapped tightly in white cloth before burial, with bindings around the head, neck, and feet. Legends claim that if the soul is unable to move on, the spirit may return in the same wrapped form. unable to walk normally, and often described as hopping or appearing stiff and motionless in dark places. Reports of Pocong sightings are especially common near abandoned buildings, graveyards, and isolated roads late at night. Some viewers believe the figure was simply a person standing outside in the darkness. Others are convinced the reaction from the group was too immediate and genuine to be staged. But for those familiar with the legend of the Pocong, the clip taps into a fear that has existed for generations. The following clip was recorded inside what appears to be a private collection room, floor-to-ceiling wooden shelves packed with hundreds of clown dolls, figurines, and ceramic pieces. A human-sized clown seated in a chair in the background, holding two smaller ones on its lap. The woman filming walks through the space calmly at first, taking it all in, until something just off-camera stops her cold. Watch.
Might do that. Are you a textural? Well, thank you. You see that?
She freezes mid-step, her expression shifting from neutral to wide-eyed shock, and she raises her palm outward like she's bracing against something invisible. Collections like this, especially ones centered around objects with human-like features, such as dolls or figurines, have long been tied to unsettling theories in paranormal folklore. Across multiple cultures, objects that resemble the human form are believed to act as vessels, not necessarily because something is placed into them intentionally, but because their likeness creates what some traditions describe as a spiritual anchor, something that makes it easier for unseen entities to attach themselves or manifest through them. Clown figures in particular tend to amplify that discomfort, not because of anything inherently supernatural about clowns themselves, but because their exaggerated expressions create a disconnect between emotion and appearance. Smiles that don't feel natural, eyes that seem fixed yet aware, making it easier for the human mind to interpret subtle changes as something more. The following video was recorded during a live stream session out of Columbiana, Alabama, in September of 2019, when three men were in the middle of a casual conversation about haunted artifacts, specifically about a trip one of them had taken to the Afterlife Museum in West Virginia, a place known for housing objects with dark histories. On the table in front of them sat two vintage baby dolls, brought out as part of the discussion. Nothing about the setup seemed alarming. The man on the right, joining remotely via video call, was mid-sentence describing what he'd seen at the museum. Death masks, haunted dolls, the kind of objects people warn you not to bring home. Watch.
Death mask. They actually had the cap they would put on death row inmate when they got the chair. I mean, it was bizarre. And I thought, yeah,
what happened?
Like 20 seconds ago, I thought, yeah. I ignored it. I ignored it because I thought it was my eyes.
I didn't really. It was this one right here, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Screen. I
Yeah.
didn't see. I missed it.
I
was just trying to see the head kind of wobble like it was trying to turn.
Yeah,
Okay,
I thought my
Joe.
eyes were playing with me.
Joe, you want to take that one home with you?
As long as it's temporary. They had death mask. They actually had the cap they would put on death row inmate when they got the chair. I mean, it was bizarre, and I thought, yeah.
What happened?
Like 20 seconds ago, I thought, yeah. I ignored it. I ignored it because I thought it was my eyes.
And we're going to build a museum on it.
That'll be cool.
It's going to be a haunted museum and a Bigfoot museum, artifacts, and, you know, for storytelling and that kind of stuff.
Right. I had recently went up to West Virginia to the, what was it called? The Afterlife Museum. The Archive of the Afterlife Museum. That place was really interesting. They had all kinds of dolls that were haunted, were supposedly haunted. They had death masks. They actually had a the cap they would put on death row inmate when they got the chair. I mean, it was bizarre, and I thought, yeah.
What happened?
Like 20 seconds ago, I thought, yeah. I ignored it. I ignored it because I thought it was my eyes.
I do really. It was this one right here, wasn't it?
The head of the dolls were slowly moving. What makes this harder to dismiss is that the man on the call admits he noticed the movement 20 seconds earlier and chose to ignore it, telling himself it was his eyes playing tricks. Both men react simultaneously and independently, which is exactly the kind of detail skeptics struggle to explain away. Some believe objects that have passed through environments like the Afterlife Museum can carry residual energy, absorbing something from the people and places they've been around. Others think the doll may have been responding to the conversation itself. If you watch the replay closely, you'll notice the right doll also shifts slightly at the same moment. So what exactly set it off? The following video was recorded on a home security camera set up in a living area, looking down a dark hallway toward a closed white door. The house appears quiet, no one moving, no lights on, nothing out of the ordinary by any visible measure. And then, fairly early in the footage, something changes. Watch. Some viewers think the figure is a camera artifact, a long exposure glitch layered over the original feed. Others aren't so sure, pointing out that the object moving independently happens in the same footage, and that kind of pairing, a visual apparition followed by physical movement, is something that keeps showing up in home security cases like this one. Whether the movements in this clip were caused by vibration, an unseen draft, a camera illusion, or something else entirely remains unclear. But moments like this are exactly why ordinary security footage so often ends up at the center of paranormal debates online. Now, in this next clip, a man wakes up in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps on his basement stairs. Not once, not twice, but over and over for nearly 10 minutes straight. What makes this especially unsettling is that he thought it was over. Earlier that week, he'd visited a cemetery, and after that, every bit of activity in his home had gone completely quiet. He believed whatever had been following him had returned to where it came from. He was wrong. So he grabs his flashlight and starts moving through the dark house, narrating as he goes, clearly shaken. Watch.
Alright, so I was woken up this morning to the sound of walking up and down my basement stairs again. It was over and over and over for probably 10 minutes straight. It was just walking up and down the basement stairs. Now, this is the first any type of activity I've had in the last week. Now, I opened the cemetery up on Monday, and since then I've had absolutely no activity here at home. So I thought that whatever followed me, or whatever it was, returned to the cemetery, and that was it. But like I said, I woke up to, the back door's locked, all the windows are locked.
While he's mid-sentence, a loud crash cuts him off. A green shaker bottle now on the kitchen floor, with no one near it. He picks it up, hands unsteady, breathing heavy, and just says, "I don't know," over and over. You can hear the defeat in his voice. Some believe this is classic poltergeist behavior, objects displaced by an unseen force as a direct response to the witness's presence. Others think whatever came back from that cemetery didn't come alone, but what do you think? The following clip was recorded by a man somewhere in Carrollsville, late at night and in the middle of a heavy rainstorm. He's parked in his Jeep outside a building near a gas station when something across the street stops him cold. According to him, whatever it was had already been there when he first noticed it. Pale and vaguely humanoid, standing in the rain near the pumps. He gets out of the car, which, honestly, most people would never do. And the moment he does, something shifts. The temperature of the whole situation changes. Watch.
Oh my God.
What the f do you want? Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone, please.
That figure in white, standing across the road in the dark and the rain, doesn't move the way anything should. And then the sound starts. A high-pitched, wavering wail that doesn't match any emergency siren, any car alarm, anything you'd expect to hear outside a gas station at night. He screams at it, pleads with it, and eventually scrambles back into the Jeep just to get away. What makes this harder to dismiss is the final glance in his side mirror before he speeds off. The figure is now under the carport he just left, and it appears to be contorting. Some viewers familiar with Carroll County's long history of documented hauntings have pointed out that the region around Carrollsville has carried paranormal folklore for generations. Others focused on those sounds, that unnatural, layered wail, and suggested it's consistent with what some researchers call an intelligent haunting, where a presence doesn't just appear, but actively communicates through sound and proximity. Skeptics think the figure is a person in a raincoat, and the sounds are distorted road noise bleeding through the recording. But that doesn't explain why it followed him. Where exactly did it go? The following video was recorded in the Haunted Hobart, a hotel in Hobart, Australia, with a reputation for paranormal activity. And in October of 2021, a paranormal investigation team set up security cameras inside the building overnight, hoping to capture something they couldn't explain. What they got was 3 separate incidents, all caught on silent CCTV footage, all happening in the early morning hours when the building was completely empty. The man reviewing the footage describes himself as a skeptical person, which makes his reaction to what the cameras caught all the more worth paying attention to. The first 2 events happen at 5:53 a.m. No staff, no guests, nobody in the building. Watch.
A movement right there, and then it proceeds to go like up the stairs, but it could be someone, just walking on the outside on our front porch right there, which is logically what it is, but it almost seems that the camera's kind of bending, and it bends the staircase a little bit, and then right after it goes to the top of the stairs, the hat seems to jump up before it falls off onto the ground and kind of rolls around. It's very weird. It's something I can't explain. Now, even weirder than that is the next day, that same woman came back in, and she was wearing the same exact clothes, and which is fine. I'm not judging. Maybe she had some, had a fun night. Maybe got it lucky. She could have stayed somewhere close to here, or maybe she lives there. Who knows? But she. How wacky this is. Like, what is she doing? She seems to be walking weird. And then she's like peeping back in. Like, how long was she out on the porch just like staring in after the video cuts off? It's wild. It was a bizarre thing. I don't know what's up with that lady, but more importantly, I don't know what's up with that hat. That's the most evidence I've seen of something, and I saw it with my own eyes. It was right in front of me as I'm talking to this woman. It was very weird. I can't explain it. Make up your own mind on what you think, and let me know. Thanks for watching.
From 2 separate camera angles focused on the staircase near the entrance area, a black hat resting on the stair railing suddenly falls to the floor without anyone near it. Moments before the movement, the footage appears to capture something unusual near the front entrance, a faint distortion near the doorway, and what some viewers believe looks like movement crossing near the staircase itself. What makes the clip unsettling is not just the hat falling, but the sequence leading up to it. Investigators reviewing the footage pointed out that the distortion appears seconds before the object moves, almost as if something invisible passed through the area first. But according to the team, the strangest part came the next day. The woman connected to the hat incident reportedly returned to the hotel wearing the exact same clothes she had on the previous night. Staff members later claimed her behavior immediately stood out. For several minutes, she allegedly stood staring silently at a wall without reacting to anyone around her. She then began making bizarre comments to both employees and customers, including repeatedly talking about eating dog food before wandering through the building acting disoriented and suspicious. Paranormal researchers sometimes associate this kind of behavior with locations believed to have lingering spiritual activity, especially in places where repeated reports of apparitions, distortions, or object movement have already been documented. In many cases, investigators describe witnesses becoming unusually fixated, detached, or emotionally altered after experiencing unexplained events inside allegedly haunted environments. Whether the woman's behavior was connected to what the cameras captured remains unknown, but for many viewers, the combination of the distortion near the staircase, the unexplained movement of the hat, and the woman returning the following day behaving strangely has made this one of the more unsettling pieces of footage connected to haunted Hobart. The following clips were both captured by security cameras inside what appears to be the same home, both in the early morning hours, and both involve something that seems to be paying very close attention to a sleeping baby. In the first clip, the timestamp reads, just after 1:30 in the morning on March 25th of 2023. The footage is in grayscale night vision, filmed from a high corner angle looking down at a bedroom. A large bed sits in the center of the frame, and to its left, a baby's crib with a small form tucked inside. The room is still. The door to the left of the crib is slightly ajar, and for the first 20 seconds or so, nothing moves. Then it got worse. Watch. The bedroom door slowly begins to move on its own, opening wider before shifting back again, despite no one appearing anywhere near it. But according to the family, this wasn't the only incident. In a second clip, recorded on a separate night in April of 2019, at approximately 5:20 in the morning, another camera positioned directly above a bassinet captures something else entirely. Watch carefully. A teddy bear placed near the baby begins to move on its own. The motion is slow and deliberate, with the toy shifting position while nothing else in the frame appears disturbed. No hands enter the shot. No one approaches the crib. The room remains otherwise completely still. What unsettles many viewers is the pattern between the two recordings. In both clips, the activity centers around the child's sleeping area, almost as if whatever is present is drawn toward the crib itself. Some paranormal researchers point to old stories involving watchers, entities said to linger silently near sleeping children, often first noticed through subtle environmental changes like moving doors, shifting objects, or unexplained sounds during the early hours of the morning. Whether the two incidents are connected is impossible to know. But for many viewers, the idea that both cameras captured unexplained activity centered around the same baby is what makes the footage difficult to forget. In this next clip, a man claims he had finally decided to leave his house after days of experiencing what he described as unbearable activity inside the home. Hoping to get away from whatever had been disturbing him, he temporarily stayed somewhere else. But according to him, the activity didn't stop when he left. It followed him. Watch closely.
Algo está sonando en el cuarto. Creo que es la cama.
While filming inside the room, the man lifts the comforter slightly and points the camera toward the space beneath the bed. For a brief moment, a pair of pale, bare feet can be seen. Skeptics argue that someone could simply have been hiding underneath, a child, a friend, or someone playing a prank. But according to the man filming, when he looked again moments later, there was no one there. What unsettled many viewers even more was the folklore some people connected to the footage afterward. In parts of Latin American paranormal tradition, there are stories of childlike entities said to appear inside homes, often partially hidden beneath beds, in corners, or just outside direct view. Some compared the figure to legends surrounding La Niña de las Sombras, translated loosely as the Shadow Girl, a spirit described in online folklore as appearing silently inside domestic spaces before gradually becoming more aggressive over time. Others connected it to stories associated with La Llorona, where sightings involving children or crying voices are believed to signal a lingering supernatural presence inside the home. But according to the man, the encounter didn't end there. After several more days of disturbances, he decided to place a Bible near the exact spot where he claimed he first saw the feet. Then, during the early hours of the morning, he says he heard a voice telling him to look underneath it, so he started recording again. The same pale feet and lower legs appear beneath the object once more. But this time, the footage captures something else alongside it, a whisper repeating a single word in Spanish, ayuda, which means help. What makes the clip especially disturbing to some viewers is the implication behind the voice. In many paranormal traditions, entities that imitate children are often described as deceptive, using cries for help or weak voices to draw attention and lower fear before escalating activity further. We can only hope that's not the case here. The following clips were recorded inside what appears to be an abandoned commercial space, a former retail unit with unfinished walls, exposed ductwork, and the kind of industrial silence that makes every small sound feel wrong. The man filming had been exploring the location and decided to leave a static camera running in one of the darker rooms, stepping back to let it record on its own. For a stretch, nothing happens, just a faint ambient hum and the stillness of an empty space. Then it got worse. Watch. What you just heard wasn't a single knock or a creak. It was a violent, rapid barrage of metallic crashes and bangs, like heavy metal racks or poles being hurled against a wall in quick succession, all with no visible source anywhere in the frame. The room was empty. No one was there. When he goes back in with a flashlight to investigate, he finds the ceiling torn open near an access hatch, damaged in a way that raises more questions than it answers. Some believe what was captured is consistent with poltergeist-type activity, a term used to describe disturbances characterized not by visual apparitions, but by aggressive, physical, or auditory force, sounds and movement without an obvious agent. The second clip picks up in a similarly dark, confined space, this time a cluttered crawl space or attic area, accessed through a panel in a low ceiling. Watch. If you look closely, something like a human hand is still for a moment before suddenly moving. The reaction from viewers was immediate. Some believe there may have been a person trapped somewhere inside the space. Others think the movement looked unnatural, especially given how motionless the hand remained beforehand. What makes the clip disturbing is the uncertainty. The camera never stays long enough to reveal what the hand is attached to, or whether something was actually hiding deeper inside the crawl space the entire time. Now, in this next clip, a man with no named introduction documents something he found on the wall of his house. A faint, smudgy impression sitting high up on a plain tan wall, shaped unmistakably like a small hand. Watch.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can try and get...
Okay, come over this way.
Okay, because it's like you can't see it, and then suddenly it's there. And there's no way any... Ooh, there's an ant walking across the street. But there is no way anybody could physically get there.
Well, considering you look, and there's the stairs, this thing is 6 feet above the stairway.
Somebody would have to be, and there's a wall here.
Zoom in on me. I mean, look at this, okay? I'm standing on the stairs, for Christ's sakes.
And there's the hand.
You got 8-10 feet.
And you can only see it at certain angles. But there is no way anybody could have gotten that handprint there. It's physically impossible. And it wasn't there a couple days ago.
No, that is screwy. We gotta put that out and ask people about it. I mean, that's just, you can't do that.
I mean, I'm gonna...
And that is the left hand.
Yeah.
That's the left hand, so we're talking
somebody would have
on
had
the stairs, you're looking at...
That... Okay, there's no way.
You're like 15, 20 feet in the...
Yeah, there is no way somebody... Is it still there?
Yeah, it's still sitting there. I can see it clear as day.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit.
You're talking 15, 20 feet in the air for somebody to put a handprint there.
And we had the place painted recently, but it is not, it was not there. I know it was not there.
So Cricket was sensing something today.
Well, it was weird because she kept freaking out all day.
Yeah.
And then suddenly this thing appears. Wait, come back. 'Cause I want to show. Okay, there's you trying to reach up to where it is. So even if you stood on the stairs, can you move up a little bit? So even if you stood on the stairs, because there's the handprint, you can't reach it. And you're over 6 feet. There's no way. Okay. And Amethyst has been acting really weird today too.
Well, I'm coming down to deal with her.
Okay.
That handprint sits too high for a child to reach casually, and the shape, a distinct palm with finger smudges fanning outward, isn't the kind of thing that just appears on a painted wall without explanation. Some believe impressions like this are residual contact, a spirit pressing through from the other side and leaving a physical trace behind. Others think it could point to a child's presence, which paranormal investigators often describe as among the most emotionally charged and difficult to dismiss. You can see why he kept coming back to it. Whatever left that mark apparently had somewhere to be, right at the top of those stairs. The following clips were captured by a man and his family at La Prisa, a public park area in what appears to be a Spanish-speaking region, on 2 separate visits to the same location. And each time, something was waiting for them. On the first night, the family had come out to the park casually, letting their daughter play on the playground set while the adults talked nearby. The kind of unremarkable evening that shouldn't leave anyone shaken. But at some point, the man filming noticed something near a lone tree by a tall street lamp out across the wide, grassy field. A small, duckish shape he couldn't quite make sense of. Watch.
Oh, eso. No te vas a golpear la resbaladilla cuando te bajes.
¿Me bajo?
Sí.
Ah.
Mira. Espérate. Dana, ven. Vénganse para acá. Mira, a ver, miren el árbol aquel. No, yo, la neta, te lo juro que yo miraba algo. Como que se asomaba. A ver, vengan.
Ya me dio miedo.
¿Eh? No, es que yo miré algo, neta. No pasa nada. No, mi amor, no pasa nada, ven. No era nada, ven. ¿Qué?
Yo vi algo. ¿Qué es?
No sé, no. No. Mira, sí se miró. ¡Hey! ¿Quién está ahí? Yo sí miré, alcancé a ver algo. Mira, ¿te checaste? ¿Viste?
¿Qué es eso?
A ver.
Oh,
mira.
¿Qué es eso? Ay, no.
¡Hey! ¡Brujo! ¡Asómate!
The man kept the camera zoomed in on that tree, trying to convince himself there was a rational explanation. What peeks out from behind that tree trunk is a pale, elongated face, hollow eye sockets, no other discernible features, staring directly toward the camera for several long seconds before the whole family erupts into screams and runs. The man shouts, "Brujo," as they flee, which in Latin American Spanish is used to refer to a witch or warlock, not a ghost, but something thought to be human in origin, a person who has crossed into dark practice and, according to certain regional folk beliefs, can take on unnatural forms or appear in places they shouldn't be. That distinction matters because a brujo isn't just a spirit lingering somewhere. It implies intent and the idea that whatever they saw chose to show itself. Skeptics argue the figure could be a person in a mask crouching behind the tree, which would explain the slow, deliberate emergence. But the face itself, pale, featureless, except for those dark hollows, doesn't quite match the shape of any mask most viewers could identify. And the genuine terror across that family, including the children, is difficult to fake at that scale. That changed everything about how they saw the park. They came back. On their second visit, the man returned with his wife and filmed from an elevated position above the park, telling the camera they'd decided not to go down this time, not after what happened before, but they still wanted to document what was there. The park appeared completely empty, no other people, just the equipment, the streetlights, and the dark. Watch.
Ay, pues se prendió. Pero miren, chequen nomás. Estamos solos, no hay nadie aquí en la presa. Aquí vinimos de nuevo para checar otra vez lo del mentado árbol que habíamos de susodicho árbol, no, pero pues la neta, esta vez la verdad no quisimos bajar, ni quisimos, miren, aquí estamos yo y mi esposa, y pues la neta esta vez no quisimos bajar, por precaución, porque no sabemos qué es lo que puede haber ahí. Entonces mejor nos quedamos aquí, pero ahí se mira donde está solo. Mira, ahí están los juegos, donde está nada prácticamente. Ay, no mames. Mira. No me jodas. Ay, nomás chequen ustedes, miren. No, vámonos mejor. Vámonos. No, esto no está bien. Vámonos. Aquí definitivamente sí hay algo. Ay, nomás chequen ustedes. Y mira, y nomás ese aparato es el que está. Nomás ese aparato es el que se está moviendo. No, sí está cañón. Vámonos mejor. No, vámonos ya. Bueno, nos vemos. Aquí ya mejor ya. Hay que dejarlos a gusto a los fantasmitas que estén haciendo ejercicio. Bueno, vámonos mejor. No está, vámonos. Bye.
multiple pieces of outdoor exercise equipment are moving on their own, back and forth, in the rhythm of people mid-workout. Ellipticals, a leg press, and then one machine in particular, a standing waist twister, begins moving with much greater intensity than the others, twisting steadily while everything else slows down, as though something has decided to focus its attention on that one spot. The man's wife quietly says, "Vámonos, let's go," and he agrees almost immediately. Before leaving, he jokes darkly that they should let the little ghosts finish their exercise in peace, which is either a coping mechanism or the only framework he had left for what he was seeing. Some viewers think the equipment was wind-driven, though the machines are designed with resistance mechanisms that require sustained force to operate, which makes natural movement harder to explain. Others believe that whatever they encountered near that tree on the first night hadn't left, that it was still there, unseen, going through the motions of being alive. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying watching this video. 2 visits, 2 sets of footage from the same location, and whatever it is still hasn't shown its face again, at least not yet. What do you think they actually saw? The following clips were recorded by a man driving through Lomas de Lourdes, a residential neighborhood on the outskirts of Saltillo, Coahuila, late at night, and what started as a routine drive home turned into something he clearly wasn't prepared for. He'd already heard a noise from behind his back seat when he pulled over, and that's when he noticed something in the distance that made him stop entirely. Watch.
¿Qué onda, raza? Venía aquí manejando en Lomas de Lourdes y escuché un ruido acá atrás del asiento de atrás y me paré para ver qué onda y estoy viendo no sé, una mujer. Iba a irme por allá, pero pura madre. Miren.
Standing still on an embankment at the far end of the road, partially swallowed by the darkness, is a pale, upright figure, small from this distance, blurry, but unmistakably humanoid in shape. He says in Spanish that he can see a woman standing out there, and that he was planning to drive toward her, but then decided against it. That hesitation is telling. Something about what he was looking at didn't sit right, and for a lot of viewers who've grown up in northern Mexico, the image of a pale woman standing alone on a dark road at night carries a very specific weight. In Mexican folklore, La Llorona, the weeping woman, is said to roam near isolated areas and roads, mourning the children she drowned in a jealous rage. The legend has roots stretching back to pre-Columbian Mesoamerican traditions, and in communities throughout northern Mexico and Coahuila. Specifically, she's not just a ghost story told to children, she's a warning. Whoever encounters her is said to be marked by misfortune. So when this man peered out his windshield and saw that pale shape standing alone in the dark, his decision not to go closer starts to make a lot more sense. But then he changed his mind. In the second clip, he describes driving toward the figure to get a better look, calling it a mona, a bruja, or something worse. Watch.
Bueno, actualizando. Chingue su madre, le voy a dar por ahí a ver qué chingados es. A ver si es una mona o una bruja o algo, o estoy viendo mal. Vamos a ver qué onda, vamos a darle rápido. A la verga, si es una pinche señora. Miren, 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 miren. Oh, la verga.
The car moves up the hill, the figure still visible on top of a low concrete wall as he approaches, and then, as he passes the exact spot, it's gone. He exclaims in Spanish, clearly shaken, confirming that yes, it was a woman standing there, and then frantically panning the camera around trying to find where she went. There's no walkway, no obvious exit point visible in the footage, and the disappearance happens in the moment it takes the car to pass. That detail, the figure being there and then simply not being there, is what pushed a lot of viewers from curious to genuinely unsettled. Some think it was a real person standing on a wall who simply stepped down or moved into shadow at just the right moment. Others aren't convinced any living person would choose to stand motionless on a concrete ledge on a dark road in the middle of the night. He wasn't done though. He circled back. Watch.
Aquí vamos a pasar de nuevo. A ver si sigue ahí la llorona. Míralo, míralo.
Driving past the same concrete wall again, he says out loud that he's coming back to see if La Llorona is still there, and barely seconds later, a pale, blurry shape appears briefly behind the fence line, prompting him to shout at the camera to look. It's fleeting, lasting only a second before the car's motion carries it out of frame. 3 passes, the same stretch of road, the same pale shape, appearing, vanishing, and then appearing once more. Whether it's a person, a trick of the headlights, or something that fits the old Coahuila legend far too well to dismiss, the road in Lomas de Lourdes doesn't seem to have given him a clear answer. What do you think he was looking at? This next clip was recorded during what appears to be a memorial gathering inside a family home, a daytime service, with candles and a cross of white flower petals laid out on the tiled floor, suggesting a recent and very painful loss. The family had released a white star-shaped helium balloon near the memorial, and what happened next is the reason this footage was shared at all. Watch. The balloon drifts away from the memorial on its own, floats purposefully through a doorway into the next room, and descends directly onto the lap of a teenage boy, sitting alone on the edge of a bed, visibly heartbroken, hand pressed to his mouth, trying to hold himself together. It doesn't wander or bump along the ceiling the way a helium balloon normally would. It changes direction, lowers itself, and finds him. Many people who've watched this believe the balloon was being guided, that whoever was being mourned that day was making one final pass through their home, and chose that specific moment to reach the one person in the room who needed it most. Skeptics will point to air currents from the open doorway, and that's a reasonable argument. But if you watch the balloon's descent onto his lap, the shift in direction feels too deliberate, too targeted, to dismiss entirely. What do you think? This next clip was recorded on a baby monitor inside a toddler boy's bedroom on Christmas night of 2023 at around 6:45 in the evening. The room looks peaceful enough, a little teepee tent in the corner, a low floor bed with a wooden frame, the boy sitting quietly on a rug in the foreground, completely unaware of what's apparently happening just behind him. His parents had no idea anything was caught on the monitor until they reviewed the footage. Watch.
Someone please tell me what this scary motion in my son's room is.
A small, dark shape scurries across the floor at an alarming speed, low to the ground, passing directly behind the child from right to left. The parents insist there were no animals in the room. If you look at the zoomed replay, the motion blurs heavily, suggesting whatever this was moved far too fast for the camera's night vision frame rate to fully capture. Some viewers immediately pointed to a large rodent, but others weren't so sure, noting the movement pattern looks less like a small animal and more like something crawling deliberately. What was sharing that room with him? Now, in this next clip, there are no people, no investigators, no one moving through the frame, just a porcelain doll seated alone in a high-backed armchair, filmed at night under a single warm yellow light, while a vintage mantel clock on the side table reads approximately 9:43. Whoever set this camera up and left it running clearly expected something to happen. The doll itself is dressed in a white and dark blue sailor outfit, and the room around it is completely still, the kind of still that feels deliberate, almost staged by something that knows it's being watched. For over a minute, nothing moves. Not the doll, not the clock, not a shadow. Watch. At around 31 seconds in, a loud, sharp crack erupts out of nowhere, high-pitched and percussive, like plastic or wood snapping under sudden pressure, or something releasing tension it had been holding for a long time. Nothing in the frame moves when it happens, the doll doesn't shift, nothing falls, and the ambient hum underneath the recording just continues on as if nothing occurred. That's what makes it so unsettling. If you listen closely, there's no build-up, no creak before it, just silence and then that sound, abrupt and clean. Some believe haunted dolls act as vessels, objects that absorb emotional energy or spirit attachment over time, and that physical sound, cracking, tapping, movement, are how that presence makes itself known. Others think the clip is simply capturing the natural expansion of materials in a quiet room, but a sound that sharp, in a room that's still, with nothing visibly causing it, that's a harder thing to reason your way out of. What do you think was in that room with the doll? The following video was recorded inside a brightly lit retail store, the kind of ordinary place where the most exciting thing usually captured on security footage is someone dropping a shopping basket or knocking an item off a shelf. The store appears completely normal, with fluorescent lights illuminating every aisle, merchandise neatly arranged, and a security camera mounted high on the wall, quietly recording the sales floor. At the moment this footage was captured, There wasn't a single customer visible, no employees walking through the frame, and no obvious source for what was about to appear. Watch. A dark, semi-transparent mass, vaguely upright, vaguely human in shape, materializes, and then simply dissolves into nothing by the time it reaches the edge of the frame. You can even hear the moment it registers with the people watching the monitor. A man's voice cutting through the ambient noise in what sounds like Bulgarian, roughly translating to, "Whoa, what is that, man?" Pure shock, completely unrehearsed. Some believe shadow figures like this one are drawn to places with heavy foot traffic, absorbing residual energy from the people who pass through daily. Others think the bright fluorescent lighting actually makes this harder to dismiss as a trick of the light. So what exactly was gliding through that store? In this next clip, two men are on a video call late at night. The man on the left in a room lit with red and blue ambient lighting, the man on the right sitting in a normally lit space, both of them deep in casual conversation about heritage and family. Neither one seems to notice anything off, but in the background behind the man on the left, sitting on a shelf illuminated by a red LED strip, there's a doll, a small figure in a dark hooded sweatshirt, propped upright, completely still. Watch.
Y'all have Irish and Indian?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know. She's saying braids or what?
Oh, she probably meant to put braids or dreads. Tasha's Native American? Well, I'm Hispanic. I'm from here. Is he paused?
Yeah.
While both men are mid-conversation, the doll moves, and the whole thing lasts barely a second. Neither man reacts, because neither man sees it. What makes this harder to explain is the angle. You'd need something hidden directly beneath that shelf to produce that kind of isolated movement. And nothing visible in the frame suggests that's possible. Some viewers immediately pointed to the idea of a haunted or attached object, a concept that appears across dozens of cultural traditions, where a spirit is said to anchor itself to a physical item rather than a place. Others think it's a trick of the recording. You decide. The following video was recorded by a woman who had been going through her daughter's toy camera, a small, purple thing, the kind given to young kids as a first camera, almost forgotten in a drawer, when she came across a photograph that made her stop completely. Her daughter, who was 9 at the time, had a friend over, and the two girls had been taking silly photos with it, selfies, pictures of the dog, the usual. She decided to scroll through to get a laugh. That changed everything. Watch.
God damn. Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, what is that?
The photograph on that tiny screen shows a tall, dark, entirely humanoid figure standing next to a reddish-brown cabinet in her kitchen. It's almost a complete silhouette. No clear features, no defined limbs, just a solid black shape that reaches well above the cabinet. In the days that followed, she sat down and recorded a longer explanation, because the more she thought about it, the less sense it made. Watch closely.
Okay, so a little explanation on that video that I just uploaded of the photo. So my daughter had a friend over yesterday, and they found a little camera, like little, like it's like this big, that was given to her for Christmas a couple years ago. Not by us, by like a family member. And she got it when she was like 5. So it's been in their house for a long time. She doesn't really use it. She plays around with it sometimes. Anyway, so they found it and they were just taking photos. And so I decided to look at the photos today. So you get to laugh to see like what silly photos 9-year-olds take of themselves, you know. And I'm scrolling through and there's like cute selfies, like them playing outside and picture the dog. And then there's that photo. And I go back and forth between that photo and the other photos. There's no like other photos of the kitchen or anything like that. It's literally just, there's only that one photo from our kitchen. Yeah. So I'm gonna upload that photo tonight onto my computer to take a look at what that photo could possibly be, because it really makes no sense. My daughter's at school right now, so I haven't asked her what it could be. Who knows, it could be them playing around, but it looks tall for them. It's short for me. If you compare it in the doorway, it looks like it could be about 5 foot something, but who knows? I'm terrible. I don't really know. I'm just pulling a number out of my ass. So yeah, fun times. Oh, and I wanted to say the date at the bottom. The date in the camera is incorrect. So I don't know why it says like 2019, but it was taken. Those photos were taken yesterday, unless it's 2019, but they were taken yesterday.
The picture.
Yesterday, so I'm scrolling, you know, and I'm like, what is that? What the is that? Like, what is that? That's right here. Excuse how like messy that is, but what is that?
She walks through everything. The girls were 9, so it couldn't have been them. And the figure looks too short to be a normal adult in that specific doorway, somewhere around 5 feet tall by her estimate. There are no other photos of the kitchen taken that day, just that one. And then she does something that really lands hard. She holds the toy camera up in the actual spot where the photo was taken, comparing the image on the screen to the real empty room in front of her, and the red cabinet is right there, exactly where it is in the photo. But whatever was standing beside it is gone. Some viewers think it could be a shadow person, a term used in paranormal communities to describe dark, featureless humanoid shapes that appear without explanation and seem to observe without interacting. Others are more skeptical, pointing to pareidolia or the low resolution of a child's camera creating shapes where none exist. But the detail that's hardest to explain away is that there are no other kitchen photos, no accidental shots, no blurry test frames, just one image, and something standing in it that shouldn't be there. So what was standing in that kitchen while 2 9-year-old girls played nearby? And why is there only one photo to show for it? Now in this next clip, a Ring security camera mounted outside a home captures something that the person who shared it is convinced is paranormal, although whether viewers agree seems to depend entirely on what they think they see moving through the darkness. The footage is recorded in night vision, giving everything that familiar black and white appearance. A white minivan sits parked in the driveway, trash bins are lined up near the edge of the property, and a cinder block wall runs along one side of the frame, separating the home from the area beyond. At first glance, nothing appears unusual. The scene is quiet, still, and completely empty. Then the person who posted the video directs viewers' attention toward the far side of the wall. Watch.
Watch closely. You'll see a figure on the other side of the wall, and it disappears as it walks away.
a figure can be seen walking beyond the wall, moving steadily through the darkness before seemingly disappearing from sight. According to the homeowner, this is where things become difficult to explain, because they claim the property sits very close to a cemetery, a detail that immediately fueled paranormal speculation in the comments. Many viewers believe the figure is simply a person walking along a path or roadway hidden from the camera's view, briefly visible before moving beyond the field of vision. But the connection to the nearby cemetery is what pushed the discussion in a more supernatural direction. For centuries, graveyards have occupied a unique place in folklore, often associated with reports of wandering apparitions, spirits following familiar routes, or what some traditions describe as residual hauntings, moments or movements that appear to replay themselves long after the people involved are gone. In many cultures, it was believed that spirits did not always remain within burial grounds, but occasionally wandered surrounding roads, paths, and neighboring properties, particularly during the night. Of course, being near a cemetery doesn't automatically make every shadow paranormal, but it does add an extra layer of mystery when a figure appears where no one expects it, and then seems to vanish before anyone can determine exactly what they're looking at. Now, in this next clip, a man is alone in a dark room, the only light coming from the screen of his own phone, when something begins making itself known from inside the furniture directly in front of him. He doesn't know what's causing it. Watch.
Están golpeando el mueble.
The knocking is loud, rhythmic, and deliberate, striking the wooden console in a steady pattern. But the most terrifying thing is the eye he saw. There's no way someone could fit into the back of the furniture, so help him make sense of this. In folklore, across different cultures, wooden furniture in particular has been associated with the idea of memory holding, the belief that natural materials like wood can absorb emotional or spiritual residue over time, especially if the object has been present during repeated human experiences, conflict, or trauma. Until more updates are shared, this remains a mystery. Now, in this next clip, a man armed with nothing but a camera light enters what appears to be a service corridor or storage area somewhere deep inside a commercial building at night. A claustrophobic space filled with mannequins, boxes, and metal racks. The kind of place that already feels wrong before anything happens. Before the footage even begins, he leaves a note for viewers, saying he was hurt during this encounter, and that whatever is in this room is not the same entity he's dealt with before. That detail alone changes how you watch everything that follows. He moves down a long, narrow hallway, metallic sounds already banging rhythmically around him, and before he pushes open a dark storage room door, you can hear him whisper, "Please, protect me, God." That's not the kind of thing you say for the camera. Watch.
I was hurt during this encounter. This is not the same entity. It's not her.
Hello?
Hello? Who's there? Hello? Beneath the chaos, faint but unmistakable, you can hear the sound of a woman crying, soft, sorrowful, heartbreaking, and it continues through several of the crashes, as though something in that room is grieving, while another thing is tearing the place apart. A deep, guttural, distorted voice begins to speak, and then the camera is jolted violently, the audio descending into a scuffle of grunts and clattering before the footage cuts off with the lens pointing at the floor. Some viewers believe what he encountered was two separate presences, one sorrowful, the entity he described as her, and one aggressive, something far more volatile that he specifically warned wasn't the same. In demonology, that kind of split is sometimes referred to as an oppressor and a residual, one presence attached to grief, one attached to violence, occupying the same space. Others watching the footage focus on the escalating pattern of events. Skeptics argue the tight, cluttered space could explain shifting objects, but the crying voice and the distorted growl aren't things you typically explain away. Now, in this next video, a man is alone in his bedroom at night when a series of loud, heavy bangs begin echoing through the room, and the source of those sounds is something he can't immediately explain. He's just standing by his wardrobe, calm, unhurried, pulling out a shirt and getting dressed like it's any other night, even as the thumping continues around him. That calmness is either reassuring or deeply unsettling, depending on how you look at it. The banging comes in bursts, rapid at first, then slower, more deliberate, the kind of heavy thuds that feel less like a pipe rattling and more like something with weight and intention. Then, just as suddenly as it started, it stops. He finishes dressing, picks up the camera, and walks toward the bed. Watch. He lifts the mattress and the fitted sheet to reveal the floor underneath, wooden slats, dark carpet, and nothing else. No one hiding, no animal, just an empty space, and a small deflated balloon sitting near the wall. That's it. And yet those bangs were loud, rhythmic, and close, the kind of sounds that vibrate through a room rather than filter in from somewhere far away. And if there's one detail that keeps pulling people back to this clip, it's that small, deflated balloon sitting alone in the head of a doll on his bed. So what exactly was making that noise? I'll let you be the judge.